Hello, I'm Angela, and this is La Luna Ray. Welcome to my space and my energy. I want to start this video by first thanking all of my subscribers. I don't have that many, but I still want to say thank you for subscribing to my channel. I surpassed 1,000 subscribers a very long time ago, and I want to say thank you. I also want to apologize to all of you because I have not made a video in over a year. And that was not my intention, but it is what I did. I love making videos. I just didn't get around to doing it, though, with school and work and kids and whatever. There's a million excuses I could give you. But that is not my intention. My intention is to stay on YouTube. I love making videos. I always think of things that I want to put on my channel, and I just don't always find the time to do it. But unfortunately, recently, I did end up breaking my right ankle. So you can see my crutch back there. I'm in a walking boot now, and I'm down to walking with one crutch. So I'm so excited that I can finally hobble around my house enough to put a camera up in front of me and get dressed and not need a whole lot of help to make a video. So, excuse me as I adjust myself. So, here I am, finally getting around to making a video for you guys. And I have so many ideas that I want to start doing videos on, so many things. But let's talk about why I put the camera up in front of my face to begin with. Integrating your shadow. So it is August 23rd today. In a week it'll be September. And this is usually the time of year where you start to hear lots of shadow work, and it all pops up all over YouTube, and that's fair, you know. There's a billion videos on shadow work and how to do it, but I always found the term, that coin term, integrate your shadow, I always found that to be a little mysterious. 3 words that were just loaded. Integrate your shadow. I'm like, okay, great, but what the hell does that even mean? And I would watch a lot of shadow work videos. I think I even have a light and shadow video card reading. I actually watched it today. It's not, I don't know what I was, listen, I want to update what I said today in that video, because I want to say a year or so ago, I was having my morning cup of coffee, and I don't know, for whatever reason, it just kind of dawned on me, and I was like, oh, this is how you integrate your shadow. It kind of, suddenly it just clicked and made sense. And I want to share that with you. Maybe it can, if you're having trouble like I was, and watching videos and nothing really landing, if you were like me, hopefully when you watch this video, things can be a little cleared up, because I want to give you, step by step, how to actually integrate your shadow. I will talk to you like a 5-year-old, because that's how I need to be talked to sometimes, and it's fair. So let's just get right into it. I have my notes here. I took some notes on all the things that and I don't want to miss anything, so I will be looking down at my notes kind of often, and drinking my coffee, because I have to. Alright, so integrating your shadow side. I want to start with saying how we are all imperfect humans, naturally. Which is the way it is. And then, as imperfect humans, what do? We create relationships with people around us, other imperfect humans, and you end up with just messes sometimes. And it's only natural because we're human. It's fair. But I think it's also fair that we do our part to continue to work on ourselves, to be the best person that we can be, so that we can show up the best way that we can, not just for the people. So when we are only giving recognition and only allowing our light side to shine through, that's when I feel like that term toxic positivity comes in. So toxic positivity is kind of only everything is rainbows and sunshine and unicorns, and I'm only going to allow that to come through. That's dangerous. And it sounds like that should be something that we all should be doing, but I don't think that's what we should all be doing. I think it's really, really important that when you have those triggers come through, you recognize them, you give them recognition, and you kind of shine a light even more so on what triggered you and why, because that trigger is essentially your shadow side coming through, and that shadow side coming through is showing you what parts of you are unhealed. So trying to figure out, well, why don't I like this about this person? Or why don't I like it when that happens? And when someone does this to me, why do I respond the way I do? That will show you what parts of you are not healed and what parts of you still need to be worked on. And that's essentially what shadow work is. When you reach in, dive in, find that unhealed spot in yourself. Hold on, I don't want to miss anything. Yes. So essentially, when you stifle your triggers, you're stifling your own healing. You don't want to do that. You do want to go in there, dive in, find those unhealed spots of you, shine light, figure out why they exist. And that's kind of personal work, personal self-reflection, journaling, meditating, things that cause you to take a minute to dive into you and figure out why you work the way you work. Tarot is very good for that, actually. Tarot is used for divination, but tarot can actually be used for self-reflection too, and kind of pulling out unconscious spots of you and kind of bringing them to the surface for you to really do some work on. And that's like 95% of why I use tarot. Sometimes divination comes out just because it's tarot, but more often than not, I'm really just taking a deep dive on myself to figure out what lies beneath my surface and why and what I can do with it. Does that make sense? So that's one way you can use tarot to definitely do some shadow work. So when you don't work with your unhealed side, basically when you stifle your triggers, when you recognize you have triggers and you try to smooth over and go past them and act like they weren't there, one of two things will happen. One, you will eventually explode, right? If you stifle and act like you're fine and just clench your jaw and walk away, which I do a lot at work, really what you're doing is you're holding things in a space where eventually you will explode. You will totally explode on somebody, and next thing you know, you've burnt the whole place down. So that's one thing that can happen. Another thing that can happen when you don't acknowledge your triggers and just kind of try to smooth them over is really they're still there. They're always going to be there, but they sit and they harden. And then you turn that part of you anyway becomes hardened and numb. And now you're not responding to anything in that part of you. Also, you're harboring such bad negative energy that it turns into sickness and illnesses, and that is just a fact. Stifled negative energy is just a poison that sits and festers, and it will still come up. It'll just come up in sickness and illness, for sure. So it's very important that we do our work so that we can pull out that negative energy, pull it out at its root, figure out why it's there, and work on it as best as we can. And it may be a lifelong thing. You know, just because you worked on it one time doesn't mean that, like, oh, we're done, never have to look at that again. No, not necessarily. You know that you know how it is. This will be something that probably always comes up every once in a while, and you just got to nip it in the bud so that it doesn't turn into this huge, ugly, overgrown weed in your life. At least if you get to it when it's small, when it pops up, when it does pop up like weeds do, you can at least maintain. You know what I'm saying? Yes, of course. So in my notes, I have down how unhealed emotions, when unhealed emotions go unchecked in your life, I guess the best way to say this is, hold on. Signs that you have unhealed emotions, unhealed shadow that is running amok in your life is when you've got little fires that have been set all around your life. And now you've just burned bridges, burned whole forests around you, around your life. People can't get to you and they don't want to get to you, and you're stuck on an island by yourself. Now, stuck on an island by yourself, as lovely as that sounds, Tom Hanks in Castaway didn't look like he was having the time of his life. It looked like he was ready to get off that island. So let's not do that to ourselves. It's important that you take those moments in your life where you see those triggers, that you take that deep dive, you really search in there, and do some healing on yourself. And how do you do that, right? How do you do that? Well, I think it's good when you allow what triggers you to bubble up, recognize it, work on what's not healed. Once you've worked on what's not healed, even a little bit of work, kind of just taking a little more, and work on what's not healed. So working on what's not healed, for me personally, it's journaling. I have a whole journal that I create, and I should really do a video on that, but journaling is great. I have a 2024 journal that I created for every month. I've got a whole space and I just kind of write about what's going on that month. But it's great because it really helps you to tap into yourself in ways that you, in just ways that you didn't think you could. Really helps you kind of get to the bottom of things that you didn't realize. Like I said, tarot is another thing that I love to use to kind of bring my unconscious up to the surface so I can understand it a little bit better. It forces me to do deep dives. Meditation's really good. Intentional meditation. Oh, there's so many different meditations out there that you could do. Athena from Sage Goddess, who is not quite a part of Sage Goddess like she used to be. That is another video. But she on YouTube though, you can look up Blue Room Meditation. That's a very good meditation to use when you want to address things in your life that you're not quite sure how to find the answers to. It's a great meditation because it forces you to kind of bring your questions, your concerns, your problems to your higher self, to your elder council, and drop it in front of them, and then walk away and kind of let spirit handle it. Essentially, you're just leaving it for spirit to handle, and you're walking away because you just feel like you can't do it on your own, or for whatever reason you just can't do it. That's a great meditation, and essentially the answers are supposed to come to you eventually out of the blue. Maybe while you're having a cup of coffee one morning, they'll kind of like drop in you, like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Or through a dream, whatever have you, it'll come through to you a different way though. So there's a lot of different ways to handle healing yourself. What you don't want to do is do nothing. Just ignore your triggers, put them to the side, and not wonder why they exist. Not try to work on them even a little bit. And once you do that, once you work on your unhealed energy, that is you integrating your shadow into your light. You'll always have shadow. You'll always have light. And you'll always try to work on the shadow to integrate it into the light. Will it always be your shadow? Probably. It'll probably always be a part of you that is triggered and will want to manifest in terrible, well, it'll want to manifest in bad ways. But if you're doing your work, you should be able to know how to manage those triggers. So integrating your shadow is essentially working on those triggers, working on that unhealed energy so that it's as healed as you can get it, so that it doesn't sit here and absolutely destroy your life, so that your life isn't full of little freaking fires all over the place. And you're just destroying your life and burning things down and burning bridges. That's how you know your shadow is unchecked. And I don't know. I think that's essentially it. So you want to embrace your shadow. You want to embrace your light. You embrace all of these things so that you can live your best healed life. Show up so the best version of yourself can show up for those in your life, for everybody that you love, and for yourself too. And that is essentially what I got one morning a little while ago while I was drinking my coffee. I hope that I didn't ramble too much. I hope it at least landed and made a little sense. But that's what I got for you right now. So I plan on doing more videos. I think I will do a whole separate video about other things that I want to do. If you have any questions or comments, I love hearing from you guys. I try to respond to everybody. Just comment below. I'll talk to you later. Bye.